Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another GTA 5 online video. GTA 5 released in September of 2013, meaning the game is 11 years old. That has given us enough time to make as much money and grind this game as much as possible to have one of the craziest car collections on this game. There are over 700 vehicles in this game, and today we're going to be going over my car collection. Now, I do have the maximum amount of garages for a PC player on GTA 5. Unfortunately, I don't have GTA Plus. We don't have access to that on PC, so I don't have the 100-car garage, which sucks. But I did some calculations, and I value my car collection at $500 million. Now, that's enough yapping. Let's just get into my first garage. So some of my garages are organized, and some of them aren't really. I mean, I tried my hardest to have, like, themes going on in most of my garages, and for some of them it was possible, and for some others it wasn't quite as easy. So I'm heading over to my office garage. I have all three of them, so that's 60 spaces right there for cars. So this garage is actually sorted by the manufacturer of the car. So as you guys can see, this first floor of the office garage 1 is strictly Bugatti. Let me actually do this in first person. I think it'll look better. So we have 2 Thrax here. Okay, I really like the color on this one with the dark colored wheels. We have more of a simpler Thrax. We have the Nero Custom. Again, some of these stock wheels on these cars just look fantastic, and I don't even bother changing them. But we have the Nero Custom. We have the Nero here. We have the Adder, which, again, for some of you OG GTA 5 players, this car means a lot. You know, some of these cars have a lot of meaning to me. Some of them I purchased because, you know, I just like them or I wanted to add it to my collection. Others have a significant meaning. The Adder is one of the cars that have a significant meaning. If you had this car within the first year of GTA 5, you were like the rich guy. You were the guy everybody looked up to in the lobby. So, and then we have the Z-Type. The Z-Type, it's a very nice car. These are all Bugattis, so that's the Bugatti floor. The next floor of this garage, I believe, is Lamborghini. Yes, it is Lamborghini. So we have the Tempesta, which is one of my favorite cars. I think this is one of the best looking cars in the game. We have the Ignis. Again, very simple. Nothing crazy with the Ignis. We move over to the Torero XO. I really like this car. I love how this car looks. Feels great. We have the Torero XO. Moving over, we have the Monroe. A lot of people, you know, who build Lamborghini garages on GTA, they sleep on the Monroe. Next up, we have another iconic car to GTA 5 online players, the Pegassi Vaca. This thing, the first Lamborghini that was released, right, apart from the Monroe, they came out at the same time. The Vaca was actually the first supercar I purchased in this game. Next up, we have the Infernus Classic, a very nice car as well. And finally, we got the Urus, which in this game, I believe it's called a Tauros? Yeah. The Tauros, very nice. I think this is Desert Tan, and I do have the stock wheels on it because I think the stock wheels look very nice on this car. Final floor of the office garage 1, and this is Ferrari. Now, this is possibly my favorite floor of this garage. But we have the Omaggio first up. Love this thing. And next up to it, we have the Turismo Classic, which is a very iconic car, IRL as well. Next up, we have the Itali RSX. This thing's an absolute beauty. I love it. Next up, we have the Itali GTO. Here we have the Bestia GTS, I believe. Yeah, Bestia GTS. Not a huge fan of this car, but yeah, I mean, I feel like it just had to be a part of the Ferrari garage, or floor, as I should say. Next up, we have the GTO Stinger TT. Now, this car, I feel like, is extremely slept on. I don't see a lot of people drive around with this car, but it is beautiful. It feels great, and it sounds amazing. And again, I don't see enough people drive this thing around. This thing is beautiful. And last up, a car that no one expected to see in a Ferrari floor, GT500. Now, moving over to office garage number 2, I think this one is kind of just like supercars and sports cars from like individual classes. Ones that I don't have enough to, like, you know, have a whole floor of their manufacturer. Yeah, so we got the 770, very nice color with a white pearlescent on it. I feel like it fits. Next up, we have the Schlagen. I love this car. It also feels very good in this game. An Ocelot Pariah. Next up, also very nice color. The Tundra Panther. Yeah. Again, these colors, I was cooking with these colors, I'm not gonna lie. Next up, we have the Osiris, another iconic car. When this car first came out, it was the top of its class, man. This thing was just amazing to use. And then we have the Coil Raiden. Yeah, Coil Raiden. Now, if we move over to floor number 2, let's see what we got up here. Okay, yeah, so we got the Vision. Now, this, believe it or not, is one of my favorite cars. I just love how this car looks. I love everything about it. Now, we have the Verlier. I'm not a big fan of this car. I don't really like looking at it, so we're just going to move on to the next one. We have the Wagner, one of my crew colors, I believe. But I've changed my crew color 1,000 times. So next up, we have the Tyrant. Now, I really like this car. It is really big for no reason, but I like it. And I really like the wheel choice. Now, next up, we have the Taycan. Then we got the T20. The T20 is another very special car. Again, when it came out, top of its class, amazing car when it first came out. Love it. And last up, we have the Spectre, which looks a lot like the 770 from the bottom floor. But yeah, we have the Spectre here. And going up to level 3. Next up on the 3rd floor, we got the Furia, which is another Ferrari, so you know I had to make it red. Then we have the GP1. Now, the GP1, I don't use it often because I love the front end of this car, but the rear end like just throws me off. Now the Krieger. Now the Krieger is actually insane. This car feels insane in game, and it's just amazing. If you don't have a Krieger, you need to get one. Next up, we have the Growler. Now, listen, you're going to see a lot of Growlers. This one I went for like more of like a track build, and I think I did a pretty good job on it, to be honest with you. Next up, we have the Emirates, which is another weird looking car. I mean, the side skirts and the front splitter go like 4 inches wide. I don't know how I feel about it, but again, it's one of those cars that you just need to have if you have a supercar collection. Now we have the Banshee GTS. Now, so I heard that PC and other old gen consoles were going to get the extended and expanded content, so I'm really excited to put HSW on this GTS. I haven't tried out HSW upgrades yet, but I heard it turns this thing into an absolute monster. Next up, we have the X821. Now, in terms of customizations and just color combos, these are one of my favorite cars. Now, Office Garage 3 is completely different from Office Garage 1 and 2. It is Franklin. Leave me alone. Nice. Like I was saying, Office Garage 3 is the polar opposite from Garage 1 and 2. On this floor, we only have Benny upgraded vehicles, Lowriders, and I think a donk. I do believe this first one is the Manana. Yes, okay, so first one is the Manana. I feel like you have to have some variety here and there. If all my garages were just supercars, I would have had a lot of duplicated, cars. And in this case, there's some variety. I have some Lowriders here. You guys just saw the Manana. Next up, I'm going to guess this is the Buccaneer. I'm on fire. I'm 2 for 2. We got the Buccaneer with a nice like dark green with a livery. I love the wheels, the wheel choice. Moving on. Now this one I know what it is because this one and that one are the same, and I know it's the Faction. Yep, 3 for 3. And next up, I actually don't know which one this one is. Yeah, okay, so next up we have the Chino Custom in a red. My favorite color with a red and white interior. I love this thing. To be fair, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Lowriders, but I like all the Lowrider cars that I have. Then we have the Faction Donk here. I love this thing. Zebra print on massive wheels. This thing's fun to drive around. Virgo's the last one in this level. I like the Virgo a lot too. I like the orange and gray. Now moving up to the 2nd floor, I believe it's like older muscle cars. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. So on the 2nd floor, first up we have the Casco. Here's the Casco. Nice little color. I didn't want to overdo on the wheels or anything, but there's the Casco. Over here we have the Warrener with a nice little blue color there. Again, simple wheels. I love the Warrener in this game. Next up, we have the Viserys or the Viserys. I'm not sure how to pronounce this one. Next up, we have the Coquette Blackfin. I think this color combo I cooked with. I'm not going to lie. We have another Casco. I actually didn't know I had 2 Cascos in this garage. Next up, we have the Blade. I love the Blade. It has like a squatted look to it. A lot of people probably don't like that, but yeah, there's the Blade. Next up, we have like one of my favorite like older cars, and this is the Pagali. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, this thing's a boat, man. This thing is long. And going up to my 3rd floor. Now, this floor is interesting because this floor is all classic cars. As you can see, first up, we have the Eudora. I don't know why, but every time I look at this car, it reminds me of the Nuketown map from Call of Duty. Here's the Click wagon, I think. Yeah, I feel like this car looks pretty cool too. And next to it, we have the regular Click, which I love this car. I think this thing looks badass. Next up, we have the Glendale. I think this one's a custom too, so this one might actually be considered a lowrider as well. Next up, we have the Roosevelt. Now, this car was really fun. When it first came out, I believe it was for like a Valentine's Day update. Me and my buddies will all drive around in this thing, and you can actually hang off the side of the vehicle, and it was so much fun. Next up, we have the Broadway, and I actually aimed to build this car off of the Adams family. And I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, the license plate is also Adams. In the last car, we have the Fagaloa, not sure how to pronounce it. Again, really cool interior if you actually look at it. So that's it for my office garages. We went over garages 1, 2, and 3. Now we're gonna head across the street where I have 2 more garages. These garages, I don't think I have like necessarily a theme for them, but they are like clean garages. Like nothing is overdone, simple colors. I do have a couple stance cars, I think, in these garages. All right, yeah, so as you can see, this garage, pretty much just like stance and like car meet cars. Again, another growler. I told you guys, you're going to see a lot of this. Next up, we have the Weevil. I own a Volkswagen IRL, so I got to show love to my Volkswagens in game. Next up, we have possibly one of my favorite cars in the game, the Zentorno, the go-to car in early stages of GTA 5 online. We have another Tempesta. This thing, I lower it manually. When I get it outside, I do the trick where I shoot the wheels. We have another iconic car for me, and that's the Pocket. There's a good amount of customizations for it. Like, this car is actually pretty sick. It was a big part of the early stages of GTA 5. Next to it, we have the LG Retro. I have a couple more of these, so I'm not really going to go over this one too much because there isn't really anything like crazy special about it. Next up, we have the Rapid GT. This car is slept on. That's all I have to say. This car is sick. It was a great starter car. Super nice. And again, I just think it's a nice looking car. Next to it, we have the Sultan RS. Yeah. So this is another Benny's upgraded vehicle. And over here towards the end, we have the Remus. So this is actually my like stance Remus. I have a drift Remus as well. And next to it, we have the Comet Retro. So our second garage, I think, is, again, I think it's just like simple builds. So we have another LG Retro, and this one, again, I went for like a hot boy stance. Right next to it, we have the regular LG. Next up, we have another Infernus Classic. I love the color combination. And right next to it, we have the Ballistic Canjo. Interesting fact is, I'm not the biggest fan of like having random body panels being carbon fiber, but I felt like for this build, like it kind of, you know, fit. Next up, we have another Schlagen GT. This one, again, simple, nice little green color with some chrome wheels. And across from it, we have the Schwarzer. I can go on and on about this car. Moving forward, we have the Vector. I really like the color that I chose for this car. We have the Ubermachi Oracle. Now, I know that nobody expected me to have this car in my garage. But listen, when this thing is stanced, it looks incredible. We have the Sultan RS Classic, which I went for, you know, a replica of like a Subaru rally car. Across from it, we have the GT Classic. Very clean. I like it a lot, actually. Pulling up to our next garage here. So this garage is actually interesting. This garage is a race garage. So not just like, you know, strictly racing. It's drift, F1, NASCAR, all types of racing. So we have the Massacro. Right next to it, we have the LM87. Moving forward, we have the Banshee 900R. This is a Benny's upgrade. Moving forward, we have the Hot Ring Sabre. But of course, we had to get the 69 livery with the Republican Space Rangers. And next up, we have the Tropos Rally. Overall, it's a great car. I think everyone should have one of these in their collection. Moving over to the other side, we have the Hot Ring Everon with the USA livery on it. This screams America. But moving on, we have the FR36, I believe. Yeah, FR36. I think the best drift car for me, though, has to be the Remus. But these are definitely, you know, two cars that can compete with the Remus. And here is the Euro. I love the wheel choice that I had for these cars. We have two F1 cars. So we have the DR1 and the BR8s. Yes, so the DR1 and the BR8 are pretty much glued to the ground. Like if you're driving these things on the street, your car is, it's like suctioned to the ground. Moving over to the next three garages. I think these are three garages. We have the Eclipse Towers and two penthouses. This is the release garage. So in this garage, it's strictly cars that we got when the game was released, if not shortly after. Here we have the Obey 9F. Right next to it, we have a Massacro. This one is not the racing Massacro, it's the regular Massacro. Great car as well to have. Coming up after, we have the Jester. I'm not sure who customized this vehicle for me. It definitely wasn't me. I would not go for anything as bold as this. We have the Zentorno, one of my favorite cars in the game. I love this thing. After that, we have another Vaca. Again, iconic car when the game first was released. And across from that, we have the Entity XF. This is another great car. This car would compete with most cars early on in the game. Following up, we have the Carbonizer. Again, another underrated car that people would step away from or they would ignore. Super underrated. This thing was amazing. It looks amazing. Again, very great car when the game first came out. And across from it, of course, if you have a garage that has to do with the original cars in GTA 5, the Adder has got to be in there. We have the Cheetah. Again, another great car when the game first came out. Now, let's head over to the second one, which is the Penthouse Suite 1. I'm not sure what this garage is based off. It's probably either BMWs or Porsches. I'm going to say BMWs. Yes, okay. So this is my BMW garage. Huge BMW fan, IRL. This is the Sentinel Classic wide body. Across from it, we have the SC1. After that, we have the Sentinel XS. Across from it, we have possibly, again, one of my favorite cars in this game. It is the Cypher. Next up, we have the i8 that I was talking about, the Niobe. Don't sleep on this thing. This car is extremely fast. It's one of the best handling cars in the game, in my opinion. And across from the Niobe, we have the Ubermachi Zion. And here we have our Cypher. Now, this thing, again, I take this to a lot of my car meets. I think it looks beautiful. And then across, we have the Zion Classic. And the final two cars in this garage, we actually have a station wagon and an SUV. We have the Rebla GTS. I think looks very nice as well. And on the other side, we have the Reinhardt, I believe. Going over to the Penthouse Suite 3 garage, which is the final garage in this section. This is the Porsche garage. This is one of my favorite garages. Here we have the Comet. Across from it, we have the Comet S2. Now, I know it looks weird now, but when I take this car outside and it gets lowered, it looks like a completely different car. Next up, we have the Comet SR. And across from it, we have the 811. Next up, we have another Comet Retro. It's just aesthetically pleasing to look at. We have another Growler. Now, this Growler is, again, another, track build. Now, moving forward, we have the Comet Safari. And across from that, we have the Neon. This thing is, it's fun. It's fun. Out of all the Porsches in this garage, this is probably the one that I drive the least. Moving forward, we have the Astron. I think the livery with this car slaps. I think the livery and color combo with this car is just perfect. We have the S2 Cabrio. So it's like the S2. This is the Cabrio version. It's the convertible. It's lowered. This looks beautiful. You just can't complain about this car at all. It looks beautiful. So this is the arcade. So yeah, so this is actually the D10 Coquette. My little brother actually customized this one. I think he did a pretty good job with it, man. Up here we have the Albany Alpha. I think looks pretty nice as well. Really nice color. You just can't see it because the arcade garage is so dark. You have the BF 400, I think. Yeah, this is a pretty fun bike to ride around. Then we have the Future Shock ZR 380, I believe. This thing, again, I just use this thing when I want to troll people. I don't actually drive this thing around that often. We actually have the Lost Slam van here, which is pretty rare. Then we have a little club here, the Volkswagen. We've got the Vapid Winky. We have a Tailgater S here. This is like a dark purple, but you can't see because this garage kind of sucks. And then we have a Super Diamond here as well. And they got the Segoy. And I feel like this garage doesn't do half of these cars justice. Now we're going to move over to the 50-car garage up here. Now this garage has a lot going on. Let's go into first person. We have the Cinca Milla. Then we have the Virtue, which I think is possibly the best car in the game. Then we have the Overflod Zeno. Then we have the Entity MT. Then we have another Vision, whatever it's called. I told you I love these cars. Moving over to my other side, this is strictly SUVs. We have the Benefactor XLS. Then we have the Lampadati Novak as well. Then we have the Seminole Frontier, the Baller STD, and the Obey iWagon, which might be one of my favorite SUVs in the game. Moving on to level 2. In level 2, we have the unmarked Cruiser. Yeah, we have the Karen Previon here. Then we have the Vapid Flash GT. Then we have the Kalahari. Now, I generally don't even know why I have this thing. And then we have the Terminus Patrol. I really like how this thing looks. Moving to the other side, we do have a Pipistrello here. Then next up, the Lampadati Corsita. Then we have the Penetrator. Now, I don't like this car at all. Then we have the ETR1, and last but not least, we have the Ardent. Now, I like this car a lot. I feel like it looks very simple and clean. Now, if we move over to basement level 3, we have the Coquette D1, in my opinion, a very nice color. I love this color. Moving forward, we have the Picador, very nice car as well. And then after that, we have the Declasse Tulip. Then we have the OG Dominator, and then the Duke of Death. Again, another free car. Moving on to the other side of this garage, the VSTR is one of my favorite looking vehicles. I mean, this thing just looks meaty and aggressive. Then we got another Coquette here, but this one's the Coquette Classic. Then we got the DeClasse Vagero, also a very nice looking car. And then moving forward, we have the DeClasse Stallion. And then last but not least, we have the Ruiner, another, OG car. So in our garage level 4, we have the Omaggio. Again, one of my favorite Ferraris in this game. Then we have the Tesseract. We have the Cheval Taipan afterwards. Very nice yellow on this car. Now we have another Progen T20. Already spoke about this, so I'm not really going to get too into it. And then the Reaper, which is the only Lamborghini that I probably would have wanted in my Lamborghini garage, but it didn't make it on that list. Moving to the other side, we have the Imorgon. Next to it, we have another Schlagen, another OG car, which is the Feltzer. Then we have another Ignis. I think the color combination, phenomenal on this car. I think it looks fantastic. And then next to it, we have another Thrax. Again, another great color combination. Now moving on to the final level of this garage. Basement level 5, we have a Dominator GT. This is like my takeover car. It has low grip tires, so it slides around a lot. Then we have the Locust, another very nice car that a lot of people don't use. This car slept on. Then we have the X80 Proto. Now we have another Pipistrello. This thing very bright yellow. I love how this thing looks, man. Now we got another Zeno, but this Zeno has just a beautiful blue color to it. I love the scramjets. They're so fun to actually use. After the scramjet, we have the Toreador, another weaponized vehicle, super fun to use. We have the James Bond car. This thing actually does shoot as well. Following the trend of weaponized vehicles, we have the Deluxo, which is possibly one of the most overpowered vehicles in the game. And last but not least, we have the Vigilante. This is our VIP garage. So we actually do have another Torero XO. Now, I left this here, just in case the Mafia boss or VIP leader wanted to take a supercar out. Next up, we have the Paragon R. Then we got the Enis Cognoscenti. Then we have the Cavalcade XL and the Patriot military spec right after it too. On the other side, we have the Buffalo STX with armor plating. Then we have the Buffalo EVX as well with armor plating. Then we have the Castigator. Very nice car. This thing is actually like very good in terms of like handling and stuff. Then we have another Baller STD, all blacked out, matte black. Then we have the regular Baller ST. All right, so we made it to the agency garage. Now, one of my favorite garages here because we have a combination of my police vehicles and then all my Imani Tech armored vehicles. Yeah, so we have the Itali GTO Stinger TT armored. Very nice looking car. We already have one of these. This one's armored and I have Missile Lockout Jammer on that thing, I believe. Here we have another Buffalo STX. Let me go back to first person. Then we have the Champion, which is also armored. I hate how these fucking poles are right in the middle. Then we have the Enis Deity or Deity. We have the Omnis EGT. I love this car so much. This is probably one of my favorite cars in the game as well. And then next to it, we have another military spec Patriot Cross. We have the Jubilee. Then we have a Greenwood that is also armored. Then we have the Enis 300R armored, very nice. Buffalo EVX armored, and then the Ocelot Virtue that is armored. This thing is, again, like I said, might be the best vehicle in the game. We have the Granger 3600 LX, I believe. Yeah, LX armored. Next to it, we have a Night Shark, and then we start with our police vehicles. So we have the Dorado Cruiser. We have my Caracara Pursuit. We have our Dominator FX. God, who put these here, bro? We have our Dominator FX. Then we have our Greenwood Cruiser. Next to it, we have our Gauntlet Interceptor. And then we have another Gauntlet Interceptor, but I went for like a fully, blacked out, like undercover. And then we also went for a stealth, fully blacked out Coquette D10 Pursuit. So let's go to the nightclub and see what we got in here. We're going to start off with basement level 2 because basement level 1, we don't actually have any personal vehicles in there. So starting off with basement level 1, we have the Enis Windsor next to a Chameleon, if I'm not sure. Yeah, next to the Hijack Chameleon. Then we have a Dominator GTX. Then we have the Obey Omnis. Finally, the Monstrosity. This thing is actually pretty cool. I like the Monstrosity. I think this Vigero looks very clean, like black and yellow. Very nice Vigero. Then we have the BF Surfer next to the Serrano. Yeah, Benefactor Serrano. Then we got the Vapid Slam Truck next to the Vapid Slam Van. Now we're heading over to floor number 3. We have a Benefactor Dubsta all chrome that you can find on the street. Very rare find. Then we have the Ferrari. I don't know what it's called. I think it's the Ferrari GT. And we got the Anus Helion. Then we have the Karen Intruder that I also sometimes take to car meets. And then finally, we have the Itali GTB. Moving forward, we have the Dominator ASP, the Shyster Deviant, another Dominator GT, another Sentinel XS, and then the DeClasse Moonbeam Custom, another Benny's vehicle. Now we're heading over to our final floor of our nightclub. So this level of my nightclub is actually a Fast and Furious inspired garage. So I kind of don't want to spoil it for you guys. I want to go one by one. So I'm going to backtrack. Okay, perfect. So we're here. So first up, we have Suki's S2K. We have Brian's Eclipse, which in game is a Penumbra FF. We have another Skyline here. We got the Beater Dukes that belongs to Dom. Now, we do have another Karen Sultan, and this is the one that I wanted to go over. So this is actually based off of an Evo, the closest thing to it. The livery kind of matches up. Okay, now we have the RX-7, which is known as a ZR350. The Gauntlet Classic. We have Brian's Skyline. We have the Civic that took over like that truck in the opening scene for one of the Fast and Furious movies. I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah, that's the Honda Civic. And last but not least, we have Brian's Supra. All right, so we just got here to my auto shop. Now, I do have a lot of clean cars in this garage. This might be one of my favorites. We have the 300R. I've already had in other garages, but we have my 300R. We have another RX-7 here. We have a 300ZX, which is known as the Euros X32 in this game. We have a 190Z, which in this game is known as what again? Oh yeah, wait, no, in the game it is the 190Z. Then here we have a Komoda. This thing looks beautiful. I love the color. I love the build. Then we have a Futo GTX. I love the color. I like the livery. And I have a Nebula Turbo as well. Next up, we have another Sultan Classic, a slammed stance build. I think this thing is crazy. Then we have another Remus. Now this Remus I like. It was the first Remus that I ever customized. I think this one is actually drift tuned as well, if I'm not mistaken. And finally, we have one of my favorite cars. It is this Obey Tailgater S. I love the color on this thing. I feel like it looks amazing. All right, we're here at the Arena Workshop. My first garage level is, I think, a bunch of weaponized vehicles. The Insurgent pickup. We have my pizza delivery bike that I had a whole video on. You guys should go check that out, by the way. I believe this is the Barrage, the Technical, the APC, the Cara 4x4. This is the Menacer. Then we got my Honda Odyssey here, which is the Viva Knight in the game. And then my Ruiner ZZ8. So yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, we have my Tahoma Coupe here. Very nice car. Super underrated. My Revolter, the Dinka Postlude. Then we have my my little go-kart, the Vito Classic. We got my Devestiate. Then my Coil Cyclone. My Enos Paragon R. A Jugular, and last but not least, the Entity XXR. We have just arrived here at my garment factory, and most of I think half of the cars in here are probably going to be the same one. The Firebolt ASP, or I might have like 3 in here. We have my Grotti Stinger GT. We have another Monroe. I think this Monroe looks absolutely beautiful. The Sterling GT, I think, is one of the best sounding vehicles in the game. Then we have another Click, and this one is literally modified exactly like the other one I have. And then we have a DeClasse Mamba. We have the Firebolt ASP. This one's from the Fast and Furious. Then we have the Vorschlag Hammer. Then we have the Yosemite 1500. Very good truck for off-roading. Then here we have a modded Firebolt ASP, and then my Firebolt ASP that I modified for a video of mine. All right, now let's head over inside to our penthouse garage. We have another one of the Honda Civics from the Fast and Furious truck scene. We have my Jester RR, very nice, very simple. We have another Blista Canjo. Then we have a Jester Classic, and then we have another Growler, very simple. Then we have an FR36 here, very clean. Then we have the Euros, then another Elegy Retro, and last but not least, the Calico. I'm not the biggest fan of the Calico. All right, so we just arrived to my motorcycle club. So we have my Hakuchu Drag, my Manchez. I love the Manchez because you can do unlimited wheelies on this thing. Like, you can wheelie around the entire map. Then we have a Sanchez. Then we have the Shinobi here, and then the Shataro right next to it. Then we have another BF 400. We have the Esky, and we have the Electro, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's the Electro, the Zombie Chopper, and then the Sanctus. All right, so we're pulling up to this garage. This garage is one of the last themes that we were missing, essentially, and that is off-road vehicles. So this is an entire off-road garage. So inside this garage, we have the Walton L35, the Nagasaki Outlaw. We have another Patriot military spec, the Vapid Rattel, and then the Vapid trophy truck on this side. Now on the other side, we have the Camacho, we have the Caracara, then we have the Canis Terminus, the Vapid Riata, and then the Karen Everon. So we're heading over to our hangar now. I might have to read the names off for these, okay? Oh, no, this is the Western Rogue. Okay, yeah. So this is the Western Rogue. So then I have my Hydra here. I believe this is the Konata. Then here we have the Raiju. Okay, this is my Raiju, best jet in the game. This is the B-11 Strike Force, the FH-1 Hunter. This one, I want to say it's the Annihilator Stealth. This is the Annihilator Stealth. And then I think this is the Savage. All right, so we just got here to my facility. All right, so if we go up the stairs here. So we have my Chernobog. Yeah, so we got another Outlaw here. We have a half track on Benny's wheels. I have an APC on Benny's wheels, the Dinka Jester RR, a Vapid Blade, Pink Kanjali, Blackfin. We have a random Coquette Blackfin here. Insurgent on Benny's wheels. All right, we just got to our vehicle warehouse, to my basement level, and see what vehicles we actually have down here. Let's see. So we actually have the Ruiner, I think it's the R2000. This is the one that shoots missiles and has the parachute. And we have the ramp buggy. We have the coil Voltic. And then we have the Phantom Wedge. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my $500 million GTA 5 online garage tour. If you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a like. This is probably the longest video that I'm going to upload on my channel in regards to GTA 5 online content. There was a lot to go over. I did a lot of yapping. Let me know what your favorite car in my collection is down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for all love and support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.